All right, guys, very excited to have another indie artist on the show tonight. Tonight we have Torrian Ball, and if it seems like we're friends and it's not the first time talking, that's because we just spent 30 or 40 minutes filming this. The computers crashed and we lost it all, so we're doing it again. So
Yes, sir.
if you hear me say something like, tell him about that Kanye story or something, it's not because I know him, it's because we've been through this. But I felt it was so worth doing again that we got to have it. There were so many gems dropped that there's no way that I was going to lose the opportunity to have this interview. So I'm glad he had the time available for us to redo it. So if you don't know anything about Torrian, during my research, I've found out, I uncovered he's accumulated about 60 million views, 1.5 million streams. I was listening to his music today on my commute on Spotify. He's got a song on his Spotify playlist with Wiz Khalifa. I found some articles in LA Leakers on World Star Hip Hop. I even found a book that he has on Amazon, a best-selling book there. Found a news clip he was in, and we featured in, I think it was back in Illinois. So just like you're everywhere, man. So welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. And just like you said, you know, the conversation was going so well that I cleared my schedule. I was like, listen, hey, cancel that. I got to stay here and do this, man. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
So we appreciate it because like I said, you was really dropping some gems that I know is going to help a lot of young artists, a lot of independent artists, probably even some seasoned artists. And man, I just wanted to make sure that we were able to capture this one way, shape, or form. And like I said before we start again, everything happens for a reason. So there's probably some other gem that we're going to pull out this first half hour.
Oh, definitely. Let's do it.
That we missed the first time around, man. So in doing the research, I found out a little bit about your story, your backstory, your narrative, and there was a history of violence and some alcohol and death in the family. And so that kind of, I think, forced you or pushed you on a path that really led to rap, definitely to the style of rap you're doing now. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your story, your background, and kind of what brought you this direction.
Yes, indeed, man. I am from a small town in Illinois, population 20,000, called East Moline, Illinois. The only thing it's really known for is John Deere tractors. That's where everything originated. On that spectrum of things, very, very small town and right off the Mississippi River. And, you know, growing up in a small town that was, you know, predominantly Caucasian, I grew up in an area of the town called Watertown. And Watertown is a predominantly Black and Hispanic, you know, neighborhood. And, you know, like the kind of the section they have us in that area. And, you know, growing up there, you know, it was a very poverty-stricken area. And I was raised by my grandparents. My mother had me when she was 15 and, you know, just a kid having a kid and, you know, could not raise me, wanted to give me a better opportunity with life. And so she gave me to her grandparents and they raised me with a very strict Southern upbringing, you know, and, you know, on top of that, getting to see two people being raised by two people that didn't believe in divorce, didn't believe in, you know, that real old school, you know, baby boomer, you know, where you only get married once, you know, type of lifestyle. So, you know, growing up, I got faced with a lot of identity issues. I didn't really know the people that created me and put me on this planet. So I didn't kind of really know why I felt the way I felt, why I did certain things, and had nobody to explain it to me. So, you know, I did a lot of searching for that fulfillment in the streets, in the neighborhoods, things of that nature. And I started listening to a lot of different music. The first album that I really caught my attention and I really listened to over and over and over was a Tupac CD that I stole from my uncle. And it was, you know, I don't know how much you guys know about All Eyes on Me, but it was a double disc. And I could only steal one. I only had time to steal one. So what I did was I stole the first one and memorized every word to that CD. And then I acted like I found it and then stole the other one and got the other one and memorized that. But Tupac was just somebody that I felt like understood what type of internal emotions I was feeling at the time. And growing up being, you know, a teenager, you know, Tupac had been passed away for a long time by then, but his words and his message and his passion, you know, some of the things he talked about made me uncomfortable because it was things I was seeing and things of that nature. So it was like, you know, it was an uncomfortable truth, but it was something that resonated with me. And I got into, you know, trying to rap like him and like rapping. And then I found, you know, started studying other artists like Twista and Do or Die that were more in my area and region of the country. And me and my friend Chris were like, yo, we're about to do a talent show, man. We're about to show everybody we can rap. You know, we started freestyling, by the, you know, playing basketball, freestyling, and we were gearing up for the talent show. And my friend Chris ended up passing away from an asthma attack in his sleep. He had a very raspy voice from how bad his asthma was. And he passed away a week before the talent show. So I didn't want to give up on doing music. I wanted to do something in his honor. And being in 6th grade, seeing one of your friends die and going to the funeral and seeing the body and things of that nature, it's very traumatizing, you know. And that was the first time I had seen a dead person, and that dead person happened to be my friend. And so it was a very confusing time, but I honored his death and did the talent show in his honor, and I drove everybody in the auditorium to tears. And just seeing that type of impact, I think I kept my eyes closed through the whole thing. I was so nervous being in front of the whole school doing it, and you know, looking up after performing that and seeing all these people in tears, it truly showed me that I had a gift. And I took that gift and I kept manifesting and kept practicing and just kept rapping whatever I was thinking. It didn't matter if it made sense. I just kept rapping. And my mom had noticed, you know, the teachers had contacted her and was like, you know, your son had all of these people in tears in the auditorium, and, you know, he really has a gift with music. He should really pursue it. And so I think about a week or two after that, she took me to a Twista concert and was like, you know, if you really think you want to do music, I'm gonna put you out there on that stage and let's see if everybody else thinks you're as good as you think you are. And so they put me out there on the stage, and before Twista came out, they had a little contest of crowd participation. Whoever cheered the loudest got to meet Twista. So my mom threw me up on the stage. I'm 13 years old, wondering, you know, I wasn't old enough to be there, and it was definitely inappropriate. But my mom believed in me and she believed in my potential. So she threw me out there on the stage. I won the contest and got to meet Twista and rap for him. And when I rapped for him, he was so impressed that he pulled my mom to the side and asked me to go on tour with him. And mom said yes. She drove every step of the way. You know, they paid for the hotels and all that good stuff and the travel. But yeah, man, we went on the road. I got to travel with him. I had to go back to Chicago after the tour while he was working on his album with some of his biggest singles with Kanye West. I got to sit in the studio and watch those songs get created, watch how many hours are put into really making a hit song and things of that nature, the mixing, the mastering. I even stayed in when Kanye was mixing the beat down and making sure everything kicked right. I sat through the whole thing because I was just soaking. I just wanted to be a fly on the wall. I was so infatuated with the music industry that it was such a blessing to be able to see all of these things in front of me at such a young age. And moving forward, you know, I kept that relationship growing with Twista. I learned a lot on the road and got exposed to a lot of things early in life, and went back to school. And, you know, it was really exciting. I'm like, man, I spent the whole summer on tour. And, you know, I go to my first day of school. I made enough money to get my own car. And, you know how it is on that first day of school. You got the outfit laid. You got, you know, you want to go show off your new car. And on the first day of school, man, I got into a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. And my power steering went out on me on a country road going 80. And, you know, the car veered off the road, did bumper to bumper flips, and hit a tree at about 9 feet in the air, came crashing down. And they actually said that us not having our seatbelts on saved our lives, because the car was going in so many different directions that the seatbelt would have strangled us. Mm-hmm. And so me and my friend got away a lot luckier than me. He only had a concussion, and it was a very severe concussion. It was bad. He didn't remember a lot of things until a couple of days later. But I was confined to a hospital bed and could not move my legs and they told me that I had a 30 to 40% chance of walking again at the age of 16. Fresh out of football camp, some of the best shape of my life. Everything gone, just like that. And so, you know, during that time, I never let myself believe that I wouldn't walk again. I kept that determination that I'm going to walk again. This isn't over. You know, life isn't over for me. And I don't know how much you know about anatomy, but when one part of your body shuts down, the other ones get much stronger to supplement for the things that are gone. And so at that time where I could not move my body, I got so much control and learned how to get so much control over my mind and my emotions. And spending 11 months at the age of 16, not being able to move and just being able to think, takes your mind into a whole different level. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know much about, you know, Buddhist priests and things of that nature, but as much time as they spend meditating and things of that nature, I truly understand why they have such an outlook and perspective on life. And I got blessed with that same type of outlook on life at a very young age. So I took that and I learned how to walk again. I remember it was 11 months and 23 days was the first day that I got up, stood up, and took a step. And, you know, I had to do it. Sorry about that. It's a hard thing to talk about. But rehabilitation did not work. So they taught me, you know, what I could keep, the motions I could keep repeating to try to walk again. But, you know, insurance only covers so much, you know what I mean? So I was confined to a hospital bed in my room where I had to practice every day, trying to learn how to walk again. And, you know, after I did that, you know, I learned a new sense of confidence with myself, you know, teaching myself how to walk again at such a young age. You know, I felt like I couldn't play sports anymore, so music was really my calling. And so I went really hard with the music. Fresh out of high school, I got signed to an independent label in Chicago, moved from a small town back to Chicago, and started getting a lot of good things going on for my career. And then the investor for the independent label pulled out and was like, hey, you know, I'm going in a different direction with my money. Sorry, guys. And once again, was back at ground zero. But at that time, I had learned so much about the music industry that going back to my small town, I know exactly what to do to create a buzz, to be able to do so many different things, to be able to create momentum for myself. So I went back home and hit the ground running. And in that process, you know, of 3 to 4 years of just grinding it out, opening for acts, traveling out of town to open up for other people, throwing my own shows, organizing my own shows, organizing my own parties. I dealt with a lot of loss in my family. You know, my grandfather passed away from diabetes. My brother, who was my biggest fan, my biggest supporter, he passed away in a car accident that wasn't even half as bad as the one that I was in, that I was paralyzed in. And after my brother died, a year after my brother died, my mother developed a very bad drug problem and overdosed. And going through so much death back to back to back, and being the one that everybody was depending on to keep the family together and help pay for things and just make sense of it all. And having a huge load of opportunity in my music, I was so busy and everything that I didn't even have time to mourn. I had to be the strong one, you know, and most of these setbacks would usually make someone definitely take a turn for the worse. And instead, I tried to stay positive. I tried to stay focused, and I ran from it from a long time, you know, mourning the depression and just letting those emotions flow through me. And it caught up to me bad, man. I got to a point where I was using alcohol to be able to sleep at night. I couldn't sleep. And when I went to the doctor about it, the doctor was like, the reason you can't sleep is because you're suffering from severe depression. And I was like, severe depression. Like, they're like, yeah, you have a mental illness. And I'm like, mental illness, you know, I come from a very low income area. I come from a very urban background, a very predominantly Black background, where the Black community does not take mental illness, especially from a man, serious. And so I didn't take it serious because I was ignorant to what it meant. And I was like, you know, whatever, mental illness, whatever. Like, yeah, you know, I need to take out some time to myself. I get it. But I never took it that serious. And then I started having seizures and couldn't understand why I was having seizures. And I met with a neurologist, and he said, well, you have mental illness and the alcohol is triggering your seizures. And I was having grand mal seizures. And just to give you some information about grand mal seizures, those are the worst that you can have, that you can potentially die from. And so with me traveling, doing music, and doing everything that I was doing, they were like, you know, these people around you don't know your condition. They don't know that this can happen to you. So you can die at any moment. You know, you got a son, you got a daughter to look out for. I would hate for something to happen to you. You need to make a decision right here and right now, either to give up alcohol or potentially die. And so I made that decision. About 1 week after that, I got really drunk one night with me and my daughter's mom, and had another seizure, a violent seizure, and woke up in a puddle of my own blood, mouth that bit my tongue, and she was gone, and she couldn't take it anymore. And so I was left by myself, puddle of my own blood, and had a seizure that I could have potentially swallowed my tongue. Anything could have happened. I could have died right then and there. And instead of blaming anyone, I had to take accountability for where I was at in life, what I was going through, and just let everything flow through me rather than let it weigh upon me anymore. And at that very moment is when I went into solitude. You know, I did some self-evaluating and stopped drinking, lost 50 pounds after I stopped drinking. I started changing my lifestyle, stopped going to the clubs, strip clubs, living, you know, indulging in the rapper lifestyle. And I really changed my life around for the better and better myself as a person. And I felt like that was God telling me right then and there, like, hey, listen, man, I gave you a gift and you're going to change the world with this gift. But I can't do anything for you until you start using the gift that I gave you in the right way. And he wanted me to start speaking from the heart. You know, all up until that point of my career, I was just making songs that you would normally hear on the radio. You know, anything, whatever was trending, popping at the time, that's how I was rapping. That's what I was rapping about. And once I started speaking from the heart, it took me about 6 months of bettering myself. It took me 6 months of just writing from the heart. And I didn't put anything out. People had to beg me to put music out. I said, you know what, I'm done with music. I'm just going to be behind the scenes. And they're like, no, you gotta put some of this out, man. Just doesn't matter if it doesn't do anything, just do it for your own peace of mind. And I put out a song. I didn't even record it. I just pulled out my phone and rapped it. And it did 2 million views in 24 hours. And I put out another one. I was like, wow, you know, the input that I got from it was so crazy, and it just reignited something in my soul. It was like, oh my God, like, these people aren't making fun of me for speaking from the heart. Like, they're really embracing this. So I started speaking my mind and speaking from the heart more. And the next one did 1.5. The next one did 2 million. The next one did 4 million. And, you know, I was on the roll, and I had learned so much from the music industry that after I did that, I knew exactly what to do once I gained momentum. And I kept building a large following of just people willing to share their stories to help somebody else and not being afraid of their stories. I was very, you know, my sobriety and me giving up drinking, I didn't do any AA classes. The only person I talked to was God. And I was very transparent about it. The late nights, the early mornings, the withdrawals, all of that. I was very open about all of it because I wanted people to truly hold me accountable for it. If I was doing it personally, I wouldn't have been able to continue as long as I have. But holding myself accountable and counting the days every day, instead of saying, you know, day 3, I'm not drinking no more, I said, I'm celebrating day 3 of not drinking and turning it into something I was ashamed of, into something I was celebrating. And now I've gained a huge following with people and influenced so many people across the world to give up their own vices and better themselves as a person, and created a huge, huge following. Shout out to the Vibe Tribe. I got over 25 fans. I don't know if you can see this tattoo. It says Positive Vibes. I got this tattoo because I was crying a lot, going through a lot of mental depression, and I'm left-handed. And when I would look in the mirror, trying to wipe my eyes and, you know, make it so nobody knew I was crying, this is the hand I would use. And so I got this tatted on me to keep myself knowing and reminding myself that all it takes is one positive thought to change your mood. And I used those positive thoughts. I fell in love. I obsessed over those positive thoughts until it changed who I was as a person. And I took my tragedies and I turned them into triumph.
Wow, man, there's so much I could take from that. I'm trying to remember it all that I wanted to say, because some of the things I picked up on, you know, this time around talking is, you know, I was listening to your music today, and I'm looking at these articles, and I'm going back and I'm finding, you know, 2016, 2017, 18, whatever. And I'm thinking, wow, you've done a lot in just a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime you really dig into somebody's story, right, there's no such thing as an overnight success.
No,
So not only learning about the tragedy and all the things you've went through and you've overcome that developed this wisdom and developed this story and developed this character that you have, but there's also this time spent with Twister and on the road and in the studio and with this indie label. So there's years and years and years being put into this before you really get to this part.
Oh, definitely. A lot of highs and lows, man. And like, you know, a lot of these highs and lows really teach you about how much you want this, and it teaches you a lot about yourself. And, you know, it's not just the 10,000 hours, you know, you got to deal with the 10,000 no's, the 10,000 maybes, the 10,000 letdowns, and everything that comes along with this music industry, because it's going to break your heart before it makes you fall in love once you truly get into it. And, you know, I put in those 10,000 hours. I just wasn't using my gift correctly. But the moment that I did start using my gift correctly, those 10,000 hours that I put in came in handy, bro.
Yeah,
they came in so much, you know, came in the clutch, you know, and that was something that, you know, I was so happy. Like, I didn't understand why I kept falling short early in my career. I'm like, man, I got the look. You know, they say they love my look. They love my music, my sound, but I couldn't gain enough traction to take things over the top. I had a song with Wiz Khalifa. They were telling me, hey, man, you get a song with this person, you're going to blow up, da-da-da-da. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going to do that. Started projecting that energy, and a Wiz Khalifa feature fell in my lap. Literally fell in my lap. You want to hear about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Why? Yeah.
I'll tell you.
That's actually where we got cut off.
Yes, sir. So this crazy story is wild. I had some promoters. One thing that I learned a lot about early, and one thing we had spoken about earlier, is relationships.
Yeah.
And so relationships was something that I prided myself on, building relationships with the right peoples. And if you want to be a rapper or any type of entertainer, you need to build a relationship with promoters, concert buyers, club, you know, talent, people that go find talent for clubs, radio, all of that. You need to build relationships with these people. I did it all. You know, I waited outside of radio stations. I waited for DJs to shut down. I wasn't old enough to get in the club, so I'd wait for the DJ to get ready to start shutting down and go in the club and help him shut down, help him pack his stuff up, ask him, you know, is there anything I can do?
I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you, because this is such a key point that I try to teach over and over and over again. You're not just waiting outside the club to stuff a CD or an MP3 or a flyer in somebody's hand, right?
No.
You were creating an opportunity to serve. That is how you build relationships. I can't drive that home enough. I go crazy because here's what makes me crazy about it is I post that all the time. I talk about it all the time. Mm-hmm. And I try to live that example all the time. But yet people who follow me, who should be watching my stuff and listening to what I do, come straight in the inbox and just try to take, and
take.
They don't even want to know how my day was. They don't say hello.
No.
They're
And
like,
you know what that comes from, and I talk about this a lot, is that the generation we're in and that has came up is the microwave generation, is what I call it. If you put that in the oven, it's going to taste way better. But instead, you don't have time for that. So you throw it in the microwave and settle for the little taste that you get, but it's an instant gratification. And that's what I mean by the microwave generation. All of these younger cats, all they've seen people blow up on is the internet. I'm at that age where I got to get a glimpse of the hard work that was put in before the internet took over. And so I take those things that I learned and study how these guys made names for themselves without the internet. Because I was in an area where the internet was relevant, but it wasn't predominant. There wasn't even a hip hop station where I was from. Top 40, that was it. So I was like, how can I do this? And I started adopting a lot of the early Rockefellers, the early Def Jam hustles and they made relationships. They made relationships with the DJs. They made relationships with the people on the radio. They made relationships down. I made relationships down to the point where I brought a Christmas card to the entertainment guy in the newspaper. They had no idea. They're like, this kid in all these street clothes came into the newspaper, and I brought him a Christmas card. I called in, I asked, I said, what day do you guys leave office for Christmas? They're like, we leave, today's our last day, but we have everybody here today. I'm like, okay, perfect. You guys having a work party? Like, yeah, we do. I'm like, awesome. So I walked my happy ass in there, and I brought him a card. And he had no idea who I was, what I was trying to do, but he remembered that. And I found out that he was the same guy that came and did coverage at our football and basketball games. So he seen me again at the basketball game, seen how popular I was, seen all the people around, and he took interest and he said, you know what, hey man, what do you do? What's going on? What's so special about you? Why is everybody, drawn to you like this? And that's when I told him who I was and what I represented, and that's how I scored my first newspaper article.
Yeah, and even though the internet has changed a lot of things, I have this theory I've been teaching. I coined the phrase "go online to get offline." All this internet has done is created a way that we can connect quicker and reach people we could have never reached before. But at the end game is the same. You still are trying to develop a real relationship.
Yes.
I tell everybody, treat it like Tinder. You go online to try to, not that I've ever used Tinder, I'm too old, and I'm happily married, but you go online to try to meet somebody, but the end game is to try to get offline and to have a relationship. So,
and that's real. That's so real, man. Like I completely believe in that as well, man. I feel like the internet is your commercial. Growing up, we all seen commercials that made us want to buy things, that made us want to get excited about things. And now in the internet generation, there's a million things trying to get you to care about it, and they're all based off of something that you're not getting enough of. Oh, you're not getting enough sleep? You need to do this. Oh, you're having trouble with women? Oh, you need this supplement. Get in the gym. You need to eat better. You need to do this better. You need this, you need that. So like, I feel like the internet connects us all, and our commercial is what is being able to be found on the internet. And if you take control over, if you had 30 seconds to get a P. Diddy, to get a Jay-Z to want to look at your stuff, what would you say? What would you do? What would you put there? What song would you play? What song would you show them? It's these type of thoughts that you need to think about when you're creating this. And then when you get offline, like we said, being able to execute in person is going to open every door for you. And a lot of these artists, they think, oh man, I got to get all these followers, all these likes, and I'll get their attention. It's like, you can have all of that. But one thing I've learned moving out here to Los Angeles as an independent artist is that there's two types of people out here. There are people in the industry that care completely about likes. They care a lot about views, and that's all they care about. They don't care about the talent. They just care about the likes, the views, and how much traction you're getting. The big dogs don't give a damn about likes, views, followers. They care about, do I believe in your product? Do I believe in your music? Because they're powerful enough to create all those likes and followers and things of that nature. So that's one thing. I came here with the mentality like, okay, I got all these likes, I got all these followers, I got almost 200,000 followers, I got over 60 million views. Hell yeah, I'm about to go out here and kill it. And then that put me in a great position, but it put me in the room with the big dogs, and they didn't care about none of that. They're like, we can create that for you in a week. We make a phone call to Twitter, to Instagram, and we can create those followers instantly. It's about, do we believe in your product? And if we believe in it, the people will believe in it, because we know what proper things to put in motion. So always think about that.
And they have the relationships.
Exactly.
How do you get your Twitter verified tag or your Instagram verified tag? I guarantee you got to know somebody.
Got to know somebody. And a little bit of chunk of change. Take a little money.
How do you get great Spotify placement? How do you get great Apple? Pay all that in various forms still exist, and those connections still matter. And you talked about if you could get in front of a Diddy, or you could get in front. How do most people get in front of them? It's not by spamming their inbox.
Nope. They're not even checking that.
It's because a DJ gave it to them, an A&R gave it to them, an attorney gave it to them, somebody they trust brought it to their attention.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. The more busier, the higher you get in the game, the more people they have that they trust in place to handle these type of things. And, one thing that somebody, what's so crazy? I don't even remember who this guy was. He said, look, man, when you're out here in LA and anywhere, you can be Atlanta, New York, LA, and you want to get next to a Diddy, you want to get next to a Jay-Z, you want to get next to the CEO, you want to get next, don't go for the artist. Don't hit up an artist trying to build a relationship with them. Every artist, every person at a certain level has certain people around them that are very accessible. They have people out there looking for the next big thing. They have people out there doing this. You just have to study the infrastructure. And with social media, the infrastructure is there. Don't go up to the rapper and say, hey, man, can you help me? Can you listen to this? No, there's going to be somebody behind that rapper that's on the phone, completely unindulged in anything that's going on, that's sitting on the phone or sitting on the side that's just chilling, that has probably a chain bigger than the damn rapper has on. And that's the guy you go to. Yeah. Not the rapper, not, if you see Diddy out having a speech, you don't run up on Diddy and say, hey, man, give me an opportunity. You pay attention to the people that are around him, because those people, I guarantee you, have maybe 1,500 followers, probably get 20 to 100 likes on their posts. And if you inbox them or tag them in something, they're going to check it out. And if you are as good as you think you are, they're going to inbox you, they're going to follow you, or they're going to show you that they're watching. Promise you.
And I would rather talk to those people anyways, because they're the ones that got the game, right?
Exactly.
I want to the marketer and the manager and pick their brain. They could really help you. That artist had already found his lane, but he had somebody help him probably draw that out and develop it. And those are the people you want to talk to. The artist can't do much for you.
Exactly, and at all, barely can do much for themselves. So it's like, you really gotta learn more about the infrastructure and learn who these people are, because their names are all in the publications.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is look up their name on social media and boom, it's right there. Trust me, I've done it a million times over in every field, from the motivational stuff that I do to the content that I create and the music that I make. If I want to get next to a Kendrick Lamar, a TDE, A&R, I'm going to look up their engineers. Okay, that's the engineer right there. Bet. All right, I'm about to message this engineer. Hey, what's up, man? Engineers are making money 24/7. One thing that's dope about the internet age and the age of music right now is that nobody is tied to the labels the way they were back in the day. Back in the day, if you're not with a record label, don't talk to me. Now, all these people that work for record labels are freelancers outside of that office and need money. You know what I'm saying? So, these engineers are always looking for people to book more sessions so they can continue to be paid. You know what I'm saying? And they're down to earth people. So that's what got me into Atlantic and recording in Atlantic. And I met Kehlani and got to meet her child. You know what I'm saying? Like, just brushing shoulders with these type of people, studying the infrastructure put me in these situations. You know what I mean? That's how I met Diddy. I met Diddy my second week here at the Revolt Summit. And I didn't even have a ticket for it. I finessed my way in there. I looked the part, used some confidence, and literally knew how to speak to people. They say treat the janitor the same way you would treat the CEO. I seen security out there. Hey, man, what's up? What's going on? Woo, woo. They let me in the first time. They see me every day, brought them some coffee, brought them something to drink, little treat. Hey, man, I know you've been sitting out here all day checking people's IDs and stuff. Here you go, man. Like, these things go a long way for people, man. And that's how you apply yourself out here.
Smart. So back to the Wiz Khalifa real quick.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be some young artists, up-and-coming artists that are a few steps behind you or maybe just getting started. And they're thinking, if I could just get a feature with somebody big. And at the time that you got this, I mean, I think Black and Yellow, you said was his.
Yeah, Black and Yellow was just getting ready to come out. He was gearing up for that. And, you know, it was a situation where the promoters that I had a close relationship with brought him in town for a private show. They brought him in town. He came in town. It was just him and his manager, no security, no entourage. And as you know, Wiz Khalifa likes to smoke a lot of weed. And in Illinois, that's very illegal. So, and this was before weed was even legal in California. And so they were smoking out all the hotels. And the hotels were kicking them out left and right. So I get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're like, yo, we hate to burden you with this, man, but can we bring Wiz to your crib? And I was like, yeah, but why? They're like, he's gotten kicked out of every single hotel. And his manager at the last hotel, the cops came in. Because after, you know, we're in a small area. So hotels start calling each other like, hey, man, if this guy comes here trying to get a hotel, don't let him. We kicked them out of ours. And so the last hotel, they tried to do the same thing. And the police came. And the police came. They went in the room, found weed, and the manager took the rap and went to jail. And Rodstrom, I think he was with Rodstrom Records at the time, could not send any money into the bank open the next day to bail him out. So they had to bring Wiz somewhere, and they chose me. They're like, yo, bro, we don't know anybody else has their own crib right now. What up? I'm like, bring him through. So they bring Wiz through, and Wiz chills in my crib for about 8 hours. And we're just kicking it, shooting the shit, smoking, you know, just chilling. And he finally gets the call that they're going to let the manager out. The money went through, all that good stuff. And so Wiz, to show his appreciation for us not going to TMZ, not going to the media outlets and telling them what happened, to show love, like, hey, man, you guys hooked it up. You guys looked out. You know what I'm saying? You're really cool about all of this. We want to show our appreciation. Let's get in the studio tonight. So the same dudes that were doing the promotion were producers as well. Very well-off producers. So they paid for these Wiz Khalifa features. And Wiz did a verse on one of their beats, did a couple hooks on a couple others. And they called me like, hey, man, Wiz would love for you to get on this record that we got. And, you know, we don't have any verses, but, you know, Wiz did the hook to it. I'm like, so you just want me to jump on it? They're like, yeah. I was like, I'm on my way. So that's how it happened, man. And we did the song, stayed in contact with Wiz's people. And after this, Black and Yellow, it blew up. He had started the movie with Snoop Dogg. Like, he was busy after this, right after all of this happened. And it was hard for us to get clearance for the record. So I started going to South by Southwest. Shout out to Austin, Texas. Shout out to that amazing platform for independent artists. And I ran into Wiz at South by Southwest and was like, yo, bro, we've been sending emails, we've been sending texts, trying to get this record cleared. Like, what can I do? And he was like, look, I'm gonna make that happen for you. So we get on the phone. At this time, he had signed to Atlantic. And at this time, they said, hey, you know, you guys can, this was when streaming was just beginning and the labels were trying to wrap around everything that goes with streaming. So they're like, we can put this out for streaming, but to get clearance to sell the record on iTunes, because iTunes was the big thing at that moment. And they're like, but you can't sell it on iTunes. You can stream it all you want, but you can't sell it on iTunes unless you get clearance. And I was like, okay, what do we need to do for clearance? Because we want to do a video. And they're like, well, for the video and clearance, it's going to be $30,000. Yep. So, yeah, we didn't have enough money for that. And so, you know, what I did was I put out the record. I built up a great relationship with a lot of blogs, Hot New Hip Hop, Pigeons and Planes, All Hip Hop. You know, this was the height of the blog era, where people were almost thinking that the blogs were taking over the DJ's position. This was that time, about 2012, 13, 14-ish, right around that time. So I put the record out independently, had the blogs cover it just like they would cover a major label artist. And I set up my own regional tour and trying to build up money to be able to pay for the clearance, to be able to take the record over the top. Didn't make enough money to get the record cleared, but I made a decent amount of money and showed myself, yo, you can literally make a living off of this, you know, in the height of trying to make $30,000 off of a tour. And that's really what taught me how to believe more in myself, rely more on myself, and look at this from an independent scale rather than going from here all the way up to here and making millions of dollars. And that really put a lot in perspective for me and taught me a lot about the music industry.
I think you're putting a lot in perspective for people who will be watching this, artists who will be watching this, because I think when you're starting out and you're really young and you've got these ideas in your head that if I can get to 1 million streams, somebody's going to sign me. If I can get a feature with so-and-so, somebody's going to sign me, or then I'll be on, then it'll all happen. But it's not as easy as they make it out in their head starting out, right?
Not at all, man. Not at all. And the thing about that is, you know, I was that artist. You know, I thought a feature was going to do it. 1 million streams is going to do it. 1 million views is going to do it. But the labels don't take interest in you until you start making a living off of what you do.
Sure.
Because a record deal is nothing but a bank loan.
Absolutely.
With a lot of interest.
No, it's to me, it's a lot like.
Sorry about that.
Welcome to LA.
Right?
No, I say it all the time. You know, the internet has created an opportunity for indie artists that never existed before. But the thing indie artists need to learn is you have to literally become an entrepreneur. You have to be able to do everything. And if you look at a startup, which is all an indie artist is, venture capitalists they inject money into startups that have already proven themselves, are already generating, so that they can scale and grow. And
exactly.
It's exactly
that's all record labels are doing.
Yeah,
that's all right.
So a young artist watching this right now, they've uploaded 6 songs. They can't get rid of that less than 1,000 symbol on Spotify. They're not getting any streams, they're not getting any traction, or not getting any following. What would be your advice to them, your initial advice, just to kind of get going?
My advice that I wish I would have gotten at that point was, instead of telling them to make a song like this and get more traction, make a record like this, or go find this person and do this, I wish somebody would have told me, what you're doing is great. There's a crowd for what you do. You need to go find your crowd. And you need to truly evaluate for yourself, what are you known for? You know what you feel inside of yourself. But at the age where most people want to start rapping, they've made a name for themselves doing something, whether you're good at basketball, you're good at selling drugs, you're good at beating people up, you're good at getting the ladies. There's something that people know you for. And you need to find that out, because the quickest way to gain momentum behind yourself is people co-signing you, the word of mouth. And if, say, I'm a complete killer, that's all people know me for. I kill people. And I'm making songs about taking girls on dates, it's probably not going to work out. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get that much support or traction. But if I say shoot 'em up, bang, bang in my song, and everybody knows me for that, they're going to cheer that on, because they can co-sign and say, I know him for that. Or I see him with a bunch of ladies. I see him with nice cars. I see him out counting money all the time. So if he's talking about money, I'm supporting it. But a lot of people get this false narrative of themselves in their heads, and they start talking about things in their music, and your immediate circle is going to debunk anything that you're saying that isn't real, that isn't true. And so, yeah, they might say, oh, yeah, that's tight, and then go talk to their homies and be like, that's trash. And so you need to figure out what you're known for, what type of crowd you're going for with your music, and then create from the heart from there. Because as a musician, you start out telling your story, speaking your truth. But once it gains traction, you become somebody of service. Your gift is a service to the world. Your pain is somebody else's pain, and that's what's connecting you. Your triumphs is somebody else's triumphs, and that's what's connecting you. Your passion is somebody else's passion, and that's what's connecting you. So if you are going to jump into this arena of complete madness, you need to be in tune with this and here, and be very honest with yourself about what direction you want to go into and what crowds you want to speak to. Because the more the internet gets bigger, the more people have their individual crowds, and the easier we can find them. Go find yours.
Yeah. So I've picking up on this, and it's something that I preach, but you've really developed your story, your narrative. And so your audience identifies with you to the point they're getting tattoos,
Yes.
the same as you. That's super powerful. And I 100% agree. Positive vibes with what you're saying about. I just sat through a class at Berklee College of Music where they were talking about intention of your music. And if you don't have that authentic voice, if you're trying to act like you're a gangster and you're not, then that energy is transferred through the music, and people aren't going to identify with it and feel it. Nor are you going to get the support, like you're saying, from the local circle. So you got to think about who is your audience, what is your story, what is the energy you want to transfer to them, what is the intention, what is the reaction, the response you want to get from them. And they were talking about this great part in there that, and I'm not musically inclined, and I'm a hip hop head. I'm an old head, and it's been the only music for me my whole life. But I don't understand anything about production and the beat making and the mixing and mastering and all that stuff. But really neat thing they said in the class was that producers know at a certain point that it doesn't matter how good the musicians are or the beat is or the singing it, but there's something that gets transferred, and you got to have gut instinct for it. That you feel it when it happens in the song, and you're like, that's it. Anybody like me, uneducated, unexperienced, might sit in that room and think, oh, everything's hitting right, it sounds right. But if it's missing that energy piece, that vibe that you're really trying to put out.
That's why a lot of these artists out here blow up off of the song that they least expected. Because as artists, having to be so self-sufficient nowadays as an independent artist, we lose sight of a lot of the fun in the music making. So you might make a song that only took you about an hour and a half to make, front to back, mix and master and everything. That was just fun. Like, you know what, man, I just winged it this day. I was just feeling myself. I was in a good space, and this is what I did. And that'd be the song that blows up. You'll have a song you spent months on, that you were so technical with that song that you lost that feeling. And that's why a lot of these, like the song that I did, the song that I wrote, Fuckboy, I wasn't expecting that to go viral. I wasn't even expecting a lot of people to even tune into that. It was just something that was on my heart, something I wanted to speak about, man, and address. And over 2 million people found that record. That's one of the biggest records over in, what was it, Switzerland, Poland, something like that. Like, it's crazy who's going to resonate. And you never know who's listening. You never know who you're impacting with your music, with this new internet, because you never know where they're watching from. Like the fact that there's kids in Africa that don't have power in their house, but have power in their phones and listen to my music every day, shows you how far your reach can go without you even knowing.
Yeah. Do you want to get signed, or you want to stay indie?
Honestly, I'm at a point where I've accomplished a lot, and I want to continue to focus on the content. So if I did a deal, I would, I treat it like real estate. I feel like right now I'm a property right now, and I'm a property that, maybe a realtor or a homeowner has invested a little bit of money into the house. They could invest a little bit more, and they know that they could get a way bigger value out of it, but they're hesitant on selling now or investing a little bit more and making the big buck. And I honestly feel like investing more and more into my independence, into my message, and strengthening this message and creating that collateral, because in this day and age, record labels are going to try to sway you with money, instant gratification money. They know you're not making a lot of money. They throw a lot of money in front of your face as an advance. And, if you're already making money and stuff like that, they can't just talk to you anyway. They can't just give you any type of deal because you're already generating money, and that's what they want. So that's why you hear about these artists that blow up, have a song that blows up on the internet, and then they end up signing for 5-10 million. If the label's willing to give you 5 or 10 million, that means they're going to make 60 to 100 off of you. So please don't think that, you know, that $1 million, you know, after you take that 100,000 to clean your credit, you know, help your family, after you take another 300,000 that they're just going to push into any production teams and your budget of traveling and things of that nature. All of these things have to be recouped. So yeah, you might have got 3 million, but a lot of these artists that get 3 million are stuck on the shelf or stuck in a deal they can't get out of, and they're completely depressed about it. So you have to really, really, really know and build a team around yourself. And I wouldn't sign until it was the right deal, but until the right deal comes along, I'm gonna continue to scale my own products, scale my own business, and be an entrepreneur with my artistry until I get to where I want to be.
What's your plans for 2020, Torrian? What can we expect from you this coming year?
A shit ton of more content, shit ton more music. I'm gonna continue to use this method of changing lives one day at a time, and continue to just be who I am, man, and continue to build my team. You know, I'm in the process. I'm out here in LA now, surrounded by a bunch of creatives. It's a new energy. It's a new hunger inside of me, and I want to outwork everybody.
How important is that, who you surround yourself with?
Very, extremely. Down to your girlfriend, to your best friend. You know, if your best friend doesn't know the words to your song and he sees how passionate you are, she sees how passionate you are about your music and doesn't know any words to your music, that's not your best friend. If you have a best friend that you're going to shows, you're paying to get on these shows, you're paying all of these things, getting prepared for these shows, and they aren't the first person willing to buy a ticket from you, that's not your friend. They don't want to buy your merch, that's not your friend. And as much, you could be around these people every day. You know, if you have a female or significant other in your life that isn't encouraging you, as entrepreneurs, as artists, we need reassurance. We need it. We're creating something. We're trying to give it to the world, and we're trying to figure out how to give it to the world. So we need people around us to hype us up. We need people around us to encourage us. And if you don't have those type of people in your life and you're relying on self-motivation,
Yeah, got you back.
all right, we back. But no, if you're only relying on self-motivation, you will burn out. And, you know, that's the last thing you want to do. And so you really need to find people around you and stop looking for the cool people to support you, because the cool people aren't going to support you for as long as they can use you, man. And so you find that passion. I don't care if it's the dorkiest person you ever met in your damn life. If he loves your music and believes in you, that's who you focus on. I feel like so many local artists, independent artists, focus on who's not supporting them rather than giving all of their love and energy into the people that are. So focus on the people that support you. And if the people around you, your family, friends like that, don't believe in what you're doing and you believe in putting in that work, go find your crowd, bro.
Yeah.
Don't be resentful. Don't hold it against them. You know, one thing that a pastor told me on a plane after I went viral, I'm booking my own shows, I'm traveling left and right, but I had resentment in my heart. I was like, you know, I feel like people owe me things that were around me that didn't believe in me. And he said, you can't expect somebody to believe in a blessing that was only meant for you. And that changed so much of my perspective on things. And it took that resentment, it took that, you know, feeling like somebody owed me something out of my heart and replaced it with pure gratitude for everybody that did.
Gratitude's the secret, man.
It really is, man.
Torrian, where can people reach you at?
You can reach me at torrianball.com, TORRIANBALL.com. Everything is / Torrian Ball or at Torrian Ball, TORRIANBALL. And I'm not related to Lonzo or Lavelle or any of them, LeVar. You know, I'm Torrian Ball, man. And, you know, if you're having a bad day, if you're going through something, all you got to do is hop on Facebook, hop on IG, and type that name in. And I promise there's going to be some positivity there waiting for you.
Man, it's been a blast, Torrian. I look really excited. Look forward to watching what you accomplish in the next 12 months.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna stay tuned.
I appreciate that, man. Likewise.